Dave, let's get into the top 10. Rattle off your top 10 for me.
Yep. My top 10 begins with so many tabs, too many tabs. My top 10 begins with Trey Johnson. Then I go to Kaman Malawak at 9, VJ Edcombe at 8, Yegor Demon at 7. This is the guy I talked about earlier, JT Toppin, who was my surprise entry into the top 10. Yep. Dylan Harper at 5, Kasparis Yakachonis at 4, Nolan Traore at 3, Ace Bailey at 2, Cooper Flag at 1.
So Dave doesn't have somebody on his list that's going to be my top 5. This is going to be the fun part.
My brain's going to explode because I'm like, how did I forget them?
So at number 10 is Kasparis Yakachonis. I don't know how to say his name.
Yakachonis.
Yep. Number 9, you said it's not Igor Demon. What is his name?
It's Yegor
Demon. So Kasparis and Yegor Demon at 10 and 9. Number 8 is Noah Essengay. Number 7 is VJ Edgecombe. Number 6 is Dylan Harper. Number 5.
Who did I miss?
Isaiah Evans. Number 4, Trey Johnson. Number 3, Nolan Traore. Number 2, Ace Bailey. And number 1, shocker, Cooper Flag. Let's start. I have number 10, Kasparis. You have number 4. We both really like him. I don't think if you're in the top 10 in this draft, I think we think very highly of you. I don't think there's splitting hairs. Yeah. I think the top 3 is the top 3. We'll get to them. We have the same exact top 3. But yeah, Kasparis, again, elite creator off the dribble, great passer. We'll see the scoring game come along.
Yeah.
We'll see the scoring game come along a little bit. That'll be the little bit of the question for me this year. Obviously, he has the ability to do it, but doing it in college obviously is a little bit different. But being able to control tempo, play out of the pick and roll, play out of sets, be able to pass, basically make any pass you need to. He's just an elite prospect, right? I'll be interested to see, like you said, there's a lot of mouths to feed in that Illinois team. So it'll be interesting to see because he'll be the main guy with the ball, I assume.
Should be the only asterisk is who did I mention earlier, who's the transfer guard from Arizona, Kylan Boswell.
Yeah,
he's been he's a primary ball handler through and through. He does not have an off-ball game, so I'm a little concerned about that. But
Kasparis is so good, though.
He's going to learn. He's going to learn.
You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn because the best player needs the ball in his hands, and that's Kasparis. And he is just. I watched a bunch of his tape, and there's not a lot to dislike. Defensively, we'll see. Obviously, I think he's good enough right now. We'll see how it goes.
And again, he's got the size, so he doesn't have to guard traditional 1s and 2s. You know, you can treat him like a garbage version of Luka. He should be playing ball in hand, create for others, offensive, gifted, and then defensively, you hide him. And I think that your team will benefit from that. So
yeah, just a great prospect. I don't know how much to say on him. He's just he has such a great game all around. And it's such a translatable game to the NBA that's why we both have him probably top 10. I keep forgetting how to say this guy's name. You said Agor?
Jaeger.
Jaegerbomb. He's Jaeger.
Yep.
So Yegor Demon, we talked about the second best player on BYU earlier, the best player on BYU. Give me your overall thoughts and how you see what you see this year.
Who doesn't love 6'9" ball handlers? Let's continue to go with jumbo ball handlers is the theme.
Yeah.
Who needs point guards in these tiny 6'1", 6'3" point guards anymore when you can just get 6'9" guys who can ball handle for you. He gets downhill, and I don't think there's any issue with how he attacks the rim or him being able to use his body physically to get downhill. The whole question marks around his game are entirely around the consistency of his shot. He had a down year last year, but if you go back 2 years or 12 months, anywhere from 12 months to 15 months, you got to slice up some perspective, in my opinion. And am I looking for positivity? Absolutely, because he's a prospect. But the whole point is look, if he's not going to be Josh Giddey, or he's not going to be again, anybody who is that size and that creative passing vision, offense is gonna cook. And I think BYU is gonna be well prepared and be a really top tier team this year because of the combo.
Yeah, they have Young, the coach from the Suns.
Yes,
as their head coach now.
Yep.
And they got giant NIL backing because they have the owner of Utah and Danny Ainge is also one of their NIL backers. Yep. So yeah, that's gonna be a program because they're trying to get wow, his name just escaped me.
AJ.
Yeah, they're trying to get AJ as well. So yeah, I agree. Everything you said. I know I love him, you love him, and Soapy loves him. Jaeger is, it's the trade. what is the say? He can do everything basically. There's really nothing that of his game that screams out to me that is worrisome. And a 6'9" ball handler, like you said. I mean, that's the way the NBA is going, right?
Exactly.
You have to be elite small guard now to be able to last because there's just so many big ball handlers that are, and that's the whole way the league's going. I mean, freaking Wemby's bringing the ball down sometimes, and he's freaking 7'3".
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like unless you're like a Donovan Mitchell or like something like that, a lot of the small guys are, and then they compensate with that with 2 7-footers down low. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way the NBA is going, and the teams like the Thunder and like the Celtics and big defenders all around the court, 1 through 5. It does not matter, and he fits straight into that. Like he is coming into the NBA at the perfect time to fit his game.
And it's a shame that he didn't get to play at the U18 tournament because he's from Russia. So like the biggest chance to spotlight before coming into the NBA or coming into the college season just didn't exist for him as a chance. So I think he's gonna pop into the scene and like instantly spike on boards.
Yeah. Let's move on to Kamal Malawak because he was at 12 for me. He's in your top 10. I'll start just. He is one of the like screams a player that I like. Like I love bigs who are movable, can stretch the floor, has good shooting motion, and is also probably an elite rim protector right away. He is everywhere. I think the game, again, I say this about a lot of prospects, you'll hear me say it all year long, is that it probably needs to slow down a little bit because he is a little bit, when you watch him play, erratic at times, which is honestly to be expected. I think Duke has a perfect program for him, and him playing next to Cooper Flagg and Isaiah Evans and all these players who are just like uber elite scoring wise. And Khan, like we mentioned earlier, his load, is really just going to be about focusing on defense and rebounding. And I think that's going to be perfect for him because that's where, if he's going to make money in the NBA, that's where it's going to be. It's going to be his ability to block shots, grab rebounds, offensive rebounds, and finish at the rim. So screen setting is going to be the number one thing I watch for him because that's where, again, bread and butter in the NBA is such a heavy pick and roll league that if he can become a good to elite screener with his athletic build and his shot being okay, we'll see if how much he has to stretch the floor. I don't
some stretch
moment. But I don't know how much he's going to have to do it for Duke is my thing, right? I don't think he's going to shoot many.
The guess is Malik Brown's probably going to take the start from him to start the year, and we'll see if he ends up as like a closer or as the year goes on, they'll kind of figure out the rotations as it may. But like, yeah, I think he is not going to be expected to be taking threes, but we all got very hyped while watching, the Olympics and the pre-games because, again, South Sudan got to play against USA, so we got to see him versus NBA all-time talent.
Yep.
And like in 12 minutes, he popped off. Yeah. And I think everybody's like, that's an NBA player. Like everybody can be like, he's too raw, he's too this, he doesn't know the game enough. Doesn't matter. That guy can go out there on the same court as NBA players and be effective. Yeah. And that's at age 17, 18. So let's talk about him with a year under his belt at Duke, and then you're gambling 110% upside because again, he's the second or third center that we've listed in our top 30. So in the first round, there might be 2 centers that go like high value position and a high skill set as far as a legit 7-footer. We're not talking about a 6'10" guy or a 6'9" guy like the Derek Queens of the world who, yes, you have offensive skills, you're a great passer. Don't care you're 6'10". You're not big enough to be a true center. This is my shot blocker. This is the guy who's going to be in the paint and make people not want to go win the paint.
Yep. And
there's money there.
And also has an offensive game where he's not super limited, which is what is so exciting about him. So I think his minutes will increase as the year goes on. Like you said, it's just Duke is very much earn the minutes unless you're like Cooper Flagg. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm shocked, and not to jump ahead, but like Isaiah Evans, how many minutes was going to play? Like 3 minutes?
Listen. All right, listen.
You're 112% in on a guy who's buried on a Duke team.
I don't care if he's buried. This dude, we'll get there. Hold on, I don't want to jump ahead because we have two prospects. No, you're good. So we talk. Edgecombe's next. I have him at 70 of an 8. I think.
Again, same story. It's recency bias maybe because we got to watch him at the Olympics, but dude jumps off the page. Dude. And then you go back and you watch his high school stuff and you're like, oh, that's just him all the time. Yeah. He is a gamer. He is defensively your worst nightmare. He will full court guard you and bother the out of you. Didn't swear.
Still 0.
And I truly believe, like, offensively, I don't think his shot is like horribly broken. I don't think he can create necessarily for himself, but I think as a catch and shoot guy and a backdoor cutter, and like he's basically just gonna be Like the off-ball guy at Baylor, which I know typically, recently, historically, I'm not a huge fan of those guys.
Yeah.
If you look at the last 2 draft classes and the guys who've come out of Baylor, I've had issues with them. But I do think that VJ is just different. Like he is a elite athlete, and I don't know if that describes him well enough.
I think it's almost disingenuous just to say, right, that he's an uber athlete. Like,
I don't.
and I think the
Yeah.
reason that I have him at 7, I know some people have him higher, and it's not his on ball creation is very minimal, and that's my only concern. But if he ends up on a team that has already their creator at point guard and maybe another scorer on the wing, he is like, I'm going to plug you in the lineup. You're going to make some shots for me, but then you're going to go guard the best player on the other team every single night, full court, pick up, have that dog, and literally just be, like you said, their worst nightmare on the other end of the court. I love his game. I honestly like, he's so much fun. And who was next on your board? Was it?
I had Jaeger.
Okay, we talked about him. After Jaeger, was it Dylan Harper?
JT Toppin.
Oh yeah, JT Toppin. I don't even have him on my board. So we both have somebody in our top 10s that isn't on our board.
Mine actually is going to get minutes because he got minutes last year. He is a sophomore breaking into the top 10.
Yeah, I had him. He's at 36. I did watch his games. He's at 36.
Okay.
So he.
Okay. I'm interested to know 36, but I'll go my spiel first, and then I'll let you hit yours.
Yeah.
So we have a guy who can play the 4 and defend 5s. He can defend the paint. He's got great defensive instincts. As a team defender, I think New Mexico was elite last year. Obviously, it was him, Donovan Dent, were the 2 big pieces on that team. Both obviously left. So unfortunate for them. He's going to Texas Tech. Should be a really good team this year for him. But like his size, being able to stretch the floor, shoot threes legitimately, be defended there, but also he can work in the paint. He has, I don't think 3 level, but 2 level scoring. You know, he's in the paint or he's at the 3-point line, and he can nail those standing shots. He can nail catch and shoot shots. I really think that like he is someone who defensive 3-and-D player at the 4-5. Like that's one of the highest values as far as me looking into like if I'm building a team. Those guys don't typically exist.
Yeah.
Like Jaren Jackson Jr. is like the god tier, and like I think that JT Toppin is under the same profile. Yeah, that I'm just so high, and everybody wants to put like as far as these 4-5 guys. I'm like, y'all think Colin Murray Boyles is like the best defender? It's like 6-7. Like no, JT Toppin's like.
I don't like either of them. So let's let that out there. So at least I'm consistent.
Okay. Yeah. What's your hatred of?
I don't.
Not hatred.
Okay, not hatred.
I know you don't hate him. I know.
Let's not create that narrative yet. I do think I don't buy into the shot as much as you do. Maybe that might be my reasoning. Very low volume last year from jump shot perspective.
Only 30.
Yeah.
32 threes taken last year.
So very low volume. So we'll see if that increases. Maybe that'll get me to change my mind. When I watched the tape that I did of him, I think he moves okay, but I don't think he moves as fluently as some of the other guys. Like when I watch Malawak play, I see a lot more fluid movement, able to move his feet quicker, quicker hips on defense. Like that's the kind of stuff that I see. I just think JT Toppin's a little bit more limited when I was looking at. If that 3-point shot with a little bit more volume comes up, then maybe my mind could change to become a first-round prospect. But I was kind of like comparing him and Rocco. That was kind of where and Rocco obviously does not have the step-out game at all. But I think I like Rocco a little bit more. I know that JT shot very well percentage-wise in total. I think he was one of the best field goal percentage shooters in the NCAA last year. So that's not shocking to me.
Incredibly efficient, yeah.
I just worry a little bit about the translating, and I'm not sure how much I buy into him being an elite defender right off the bat. So that's kind of why. And maybe that's controversial. I don't know. It
is for me because he was one of the best defenders in college basketball last year.
Yeah, I know. But I'm talking about translating. I'm not talking about his college game because I don't have any problem with him in a college game. I think physicality and speed might be a little bit of a problem for him when he gets to the NBA level. And that's just, it's not a hatred. Don't worry. It's not a hatred. Nope. I fear a little bit of limitation and I said the same thing about Rocco. So I fear both of them a little bit. I think Malawak's like the only center that I look at in this draft and I'm like, okay, he looks like
he's not a center. He's a power forward.
Yeah, but
JT Toppin's power forward.
I know, but I'm saying that I think I don't like that because I don't think he moves well enough to be a 4. That's my worry. That's my worry with him. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe I'm BSing out of my but like that.
No, that's fine. I'm just that's where I landed on him is I think that he adds a 4, gives you that like weak side rim protector
That he
as far
does.
as
Yeah,
defense.
I'm not
And
doubting that.
like if he can continue, you're right. Volume was low, but like that team, no offense, was full of chuckers.
Oh,
I
I
don't know if
know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
let's say I mean Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn, and
Jamal Mashburn was
Nelly Joseph Jr.
Jamal
or Nelly
Mashburn was
Jr.
getting those shots. He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The shots weren't there for him. We'll put it that way.
I get it,
But
and
he
that's
was,
why it's a wait and see, right? This is why it's a 1.0
yeah,
because if he starts getting that volume up and he's an average 3-point shooter
mix this back. Let's go.
on 2 or 3 attempts a game, then
Yep.
we're talking. Then we're talking. I think now the next guy is Dylan Harper.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing,
Dylan Harper. Yep.
yeah, the only thing with me and Dylan Harper, and this might be, I am a little bit worried about knee surgery as a senior in high school. That is a little bit worrisome for me. That is like, I mean, again, it could be nothing. It absolutely could be nothing. He could prove me wrong, and he could shoot right back up to 4 on this list by the end of
That's
the year.
some Cam Whitmore kind of juju you're putting out there.
I'm just saying it's a little bit worrisome to me. I don't know how you feel, but it's a little bit worrisome to me.
No, I legit didn't know he had it until they came out during their like Rutgers in-house game and
Yeah.
you mentioned it. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
I didn't even read anything, and I was like, I went back. Okay, he did have a little surgery. Yeah, he's still a very smart player. He's wide for a guard. He's I don't big's the wrong term, but he's wide and he's well built.
Low bottom built. What is the lower? Oh no, lower half heavy, something like that.
Yeah, lower half heavy.
Yeah.
He a thick boy. But I just don't know. He's an elite prospect, obviously. Everybody's got him.
We
like
have it.
3 to 5.
Yeah, we have him
So
at
it's fine.
6, and you have him at 5.
5.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 5 and 6, and he had knee surgery as a senior in high school. That should tell you how good he is, right?
He's just so good at getting paint.
Dude, it is literally like his point. People talk about it's a almost a trigger word for me at this point. Point of attack defense because everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. How about point of attack offense? Harper is one of the best guys I've ever seen coming out of high school doing it. He kind of like, not player wise, but when I watched John Wall back in high school and early college, his ability to get to the paint and constant rim pressure all the time was his best trait. That is what I see when I look at Dylan Harper. But he also can score at other levels. It's not like he's only a rim guy. That's what makes him so elite as a prospect. Is that I love him. I mean, him and Ace Bailey both on Rutgers. They're going to be absolutely ridiculous this year. They're gonna be absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, like,
I like the fact that we got pairings. Like, think about it. That's Cooper Common. We've got Ace and Dylan. We've got Kasparis and Will Riley.
Yep.
We've got Jaeger and I've got Kanan. Like Ben Seraph, no Esinwe. Like, it's teammates.
Yeah.
It's the year. It's the double up here. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, I like it. But it's not much. People get it on Dylan Harper. He is a phenomenal player.
That's great, yeah.
And he could easily
one of the smartest players in college basketball as a freshman.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I forgot to mention. That's what I was going to say is like his ability to create space and also run through space while also being like, you know how I mentioned a couple of times the game slowing down. The game does not need to slow down for him. He's already there. That's what makes him so elite. Like he's going to go onto a team right away and be able to be a secondary ball handler and a primary scorer and also creator for a team. Like I look at him. In terms of a role, not as much as Paolo for the Magic, but like being that set, maybe like Franz, a secondary guy for a team who can create, but also can score at all 3 levels and can create his own shot. That's what I kind of look at him right away. Now, I don't know if he'll have hopefully he doesn't have the 3-point fall off that Franz has had so far, but yeah.
Let's hope. I do think the funny thing, I don't know if you've heard it, people were comping him to big Jalen Brunson as far as a play style.
And
Jalen Brunson took a leap of leaps. Yeah. But I see the same way that they are both downhill creators and like
absolutely
both have pace of game control. Like they know exactly what they need to do when they need to do it.
I don't think I don't think he could be as much as like a primary ball handler like Brunson was in the playoffs right now. But maybe in 4 or 5 years when we're talking, he could. I mean, he could. All right, the next guy on my list we'll talk about is Isaiah Evans, my number 5. Listen. Showtime is him. All right. I don't have, you hear all my basketball breakdowns from the players before, and I'm talking about pace of play and creation and 3-level scoring. Listen, I watched Isaiah Evans multiple videos, and the fact that every single time he scores, he turns around to the crowd and starts talking endeared me to him immediately. Listen, he is a 3-level. People compare him to Brandon Ingram because he looks just like him. But 3-level scoring is there. His shot is fluid. It's amazing. We'll see how much run he gets on Duke because, like you said, they have so many guys.
Dude, can I read off their
No, I know.
roster?
No, I know. They have their roster is ridiculous. I'm not saying that he's going to be a top 5 pick in this draft right away or this year, but I'm telling you there is a player. There is a player there, and when I talk about bucket getters, he is the number. Listen, analytics out the window. Screw all that. This guy, I give him the ball, and I have confidence that he's going to create a look for himself, and he's going to score. He is the kind of guy that at the end of a game, I go, all right, we're putting the ball in your hands and go to work. I've done that multiple times as a coach. I go, what do you want, an ISO or a screen? Whatever he wants, he gets, and we go and play. That's what I give to Isaiah Evans because I honestly I probably spent the most time watching him just because I enjoyed every single minute of watching him, and that's probably why he's super high for me. I understand he's probably not going to go in the top 10 in this draft. I understand that. That's like you with Toppin. Toppin's not going to go top 10 in this draft.
Nope.
But in our hearts, they could be top 10 and top 5 prospects. High. Listen, everybody has their guy every year. Isaiah Evans and Trey Johnson are probably my two guys that uber athletic wings who move so well, have ball handling skills, and can score at all 3 levels.
He can be a flamethrower, yeah.
I love both of them. And Isaiah Evans, I understand if people aren't fully in because of his situation at Duke and all that. But man, there's no way you can watch him play basketball and not smile. That is literally how I feel. Dude, Slim Showtime is him. He is just him. I don't have basketball analysis for this one.
Tyrese Proctor, Caleb Foster, Con Knipple, Sion James, Cooper Flagg, then Isaiah Evans.
Yeah, it is what it is, though.
So he's 3rd or 4th at every position.
Yeah,
as far as where we expect him. Even if Duke went super big across the board and played Malawak and Brown, and they rolled Coop at the 3,
I'm just saying that the lineup of Evans, Con, Proctor, Flagg, and Malawak would do work. We're going to see it at some point this year, I assume.
I would almost swap out. I would swap out Con for James.
Yeah,
he runs and he's a transition monster.
I think Isaiah Evans could be that too. Though. I think Isaiah Evans could be that too because he is quick and he's big. Sorry, I love him so much. I love his game so much. Let me preface that. I think everything about him I love. I think we'll see. He probably will fall throughout the year just because playing time, like you said, and shots. But it's kind of the same thing you said with some of the other prospects earlier. Is listen, Cam Jones, shots. He probably is going to get way more shots this year. Cam Jones. So
Cam Jones is the offense.
So that's what I mean. If Isaiah Evans goes elsewhere next year and he comes out as a sophomore after a year where he has the shots, then we'll see.
Yeah,
I just love.
Or Caleb Foster falls off. That could happen too.
Yeah.
Caleb Foster didn't have the best first year reports so far. He's better this year.
Yep.
Proctor looked pretty good in the early scrimmage and games. So I'm expecting both those guys to be locks in there. But there's a chance.
Yeah. So we have 4 guys left to talk about. First one's going to be Trey Johnson. I love him. I already said. You give me your thoughts on him.
Yes, I had Trey Johnson at 10. I think he is. I know. I think he's good, but I've seen some gameplay where if the shot's not falling, what are you doing for me?
I get it.
And the answer is you're not. You're not doing. And you've shown you're not doing. And that's a bit of a problem for me sometimes. So I think flamethrower shooter, like I said, you already know that he's a 3-level scorer. I think he's one of the best offensive players in this class. And I think that his athleticism separates him from guys who we gushed about Con Knipple being offensively gifted, but let's not talk about the rest. No, this is Trey Johnson can be a 2-way player if he wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of my asterisk.
I'm totally valid. I definitely lean towards, and you'll see my big boards throughout the years. If you're an athletic scorer, I'm in. I will find a role for you. When I mentioned Jaleel Bethea and Boogie Fland on my list as well, right? Absolute bucket getters. They don't have much else to their game, but they will get buckets. Isaiah Evans, I don't
value that as much,
but I do. That's why it's great, right? That's why a big board's great because really, but it's different. When I look at centers, I look at defense more, right? Defense and movement. And then when I look at wings, when I'm looking at guards, I'm looking at the ability to initiate like Kasparis, right? But when I'm looking at wings, listen. If you're
And this,
athletic,
this is a wing class.
when
This is the
you're
wingiest of wing classes.
when you're a wing and you're athletic and you can get buckets, listen. I don't really care what else your game is. I am in. But yeah, that's what Trey Johnson is. We'll see how the game develops over the season. I think he's probably going to be a top 10 guy this year, though. Like, it's very hard for me to see a scenario where he's not going top 10 because he's going to have the ball a lot and he's going to have the shots available to him this year. Which, like you said, flamethrower. That's my cup of tea. Yeah. That is my cup of tea. But yeah, into the top three. We have the same exact top three in the same exact order. We'll start at Nolan Traore. I'll start with him. He is a little scary because French point guards are scary.
There's a bit of a sour taste in our mouth.
But he is different than the other ones I think that we've seen, especially shout out Killian Hayes. I mean, he is. I think he's probably the smartest guy in the class in terms of like ball handling and creation and just IQ in general offensively. His ability to run an offense already at his age is insane. His shot's great. He can score at all three levels. And also his change of pace is the number one thing for me that is great. Is his ability to change his from first gear to third gear and third gear to second gear when he's maneuvering through a pick and roll, he's maneuvering through a screen, whatever it is. He's just fantastic. Like defensively, there might be a couple of question marks for him just because he does so much offensively that he might have to hide him a little bit defensively when he comes into the league. Not like that he's a bad defender, but that workload is so massive early on that we'll see there. But offensively, like you can plug him into an offense as your initiator right away, and I think he'll thrive.
Yeah. My own, not only, but like one of the only criticisms of him is how right hand dominant he is.
Yes.
I know he can bounce a basketball with his left hand, but beyond that, there's not a whole lot to it. And again, super young, not really concerned about, that yet. If it's 10 years in and he still can only use one hand, maybe it's a problem. But what he's doing is fantastic. And the high assist ratio is crazy, but he also I'm sorry, not ratio. The high assist numbers are great, but the ratio to turnovers is scary at times.
Yeah.
And I've gone back and watched a couple of games, and it's a combination of things. Some of it, and again, I'm on the outside. I don't know what play they're trying to run or what set they're trying to go through. Sometimes it's just he's on a different page than his teammates, and the ball goes to where they should be. The quality of passes look good though for the most part. If anything, it feels like he's leading people to where they should be for an opportunity sometimes, and they're not there, or they stop moving and like. It ends up being like a reach for something in a tip ball kind of situation. Like he's got to clean up the turnovers. Point being, like he is such a good passer, and his assist numbers are gaudy. And I think that that's really it. It's just play a little bit more controlled. Maybe we take it down half a notch, and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
because like you don't need to average 20 and 10.
No, my only word for him is I think the situation probably does matter a little bit. I worry for him if he ends up in a place like Washington. I don't.
Dude, can we just give the Spurs him?
Yeah. We all want the Spurs
have the French connection.
I'm just saying this kind of prospect, like Killian Hayes in Detroit. Obviously, Killian Hayes just wasn't good. But it can be a little bit of a worry when you end up in a scenario that has bad coaching. And I said Brooklyn. I would love him in Brooklyn. Him and Cam Thomas would be amazing.
That would be.
So we'll see. We'll see with him. Yeah. Top two, Ace Bailey. Number two. We watched his game against St. John's and just
Hooper.
There's not a lot he can't do. 3-level again, ability to beat defenders is easily there. He's big. He can create. He can shoot over top of people. Like there was a couple shots in that St. John's game where there's a defender in front of him. He's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna shoot over you. Like, what are the negatives for him? You think?
He makes the game more difficult than it needs to be.
Yes.
Like this man is his own worst enemy. He wants to take tough shots, it seems like sometimes, where it's like, I don't know if it's an ego thing. I don't know if they said something to him, but sometimes he really is just like, no matter what, I'm taking the shot. And there's no reason or rhyme or whatever. Like there could be like 15 seconds on a shot clock and he'll just pull up on somebody in like 1 foot contention and it doesn't matter. He'll just do. And I think people are so afraid of that shot selection. I'm like, you can coach shot selection. You can get guys to buy into like, this is how we're going to win games. He played on a less than ideal team in high school where he carried the offensive load.
Yep.
And I fully expect him and Dylan to do the same exact thing at Rutgers and be a 2-man offense. Like, if one's not doing it, the other one has to, and that's period. The rest of the team is not good enough to win games without both of those guys going for like 18 to 20. You know, so I fully expect him to contest for the first overall pick. I think his offensive game and size and athleticism, front offices will. Owners might be screaming at their front offices that like this is the next superstar pick of the draft, where Cooper might not have the same shine to him all around game. And I think that Cooper's defense is great. I think Cooper's offense is great. I don't know that, I think Ace Bailey might have moments that shine and shine brighter. And I think that's sort of going to be the game of like, what are you going to do? You're going to take the guy who, is defensively maybe one of the best players we've seen since Anthony Davis, or you got to take the guy who like looks like T-Mac reimagined. You know?
Can you imagine Ace Bailey and Cam Thomas on the same team? They would just.
Okay, you know what I said about coaching bad shots out?
Yeah,
you cannot do that.
Yeah, that would.
You cannot have both of those.
That
guys
would just be bad.
On the same game.
I Ace Bailey, Cooper Flag. It's really the offense versus the defense thing, right? Like Ace Bailey, Cooper Flag is still great offensively. That's not the issue, and Ace Bailey is still good defensively. That's not the issue. But they're both elite at opposite things. So I think for me, unless something goes terribly wrong, I don't think Cooper Flag is going to move from that number one spot the entire year. I just think like the number one translatable thing in the NBA is defense. That is the number one thing when you go and you watch guys in college. If they're good defenders, they usually translate, right? That's usually what happens, unless you're Colin Murray Boyles, because that thing is not translating. Flag is just like, man, there's not much negative to say about him. His ball handling, his creation will be a little bit of a question against taller and quicker defenders. I don't know how much of an issue he's going to be in college because that team is going to have so much space to operate with how much talent they have. It'll just be where he ends up in the NBA. Like, there are certain scenarios that I don't want any of these guys to end up in, and that's Washington. I don't want any of them there. I don't like Washington. Portland hopefully will fire Chauncey and be a little bit better off. That's the hope. But like, I don't know. Yeah, Cooper Flag is just like. Cooper Flag and Ace Bailey, I think they both have the chance to be superstars. Like, they are both.
And yet, we've been taught for year after year that 1, 2, 3, someone's going to fail.
I'm telling you, it's Nolan Traore if he ends up in a bad situation, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's tough because it's like Cooper Flag, like you said, there are no holes in his game. He's a good enough shooter. He's a good enough, like, he's an above average passer. A lot of people are saying, like, they're comping him to Jason Tatum in college, or like a super Aaron Gordon, basically, as far as like what he could be. And you got, again, I said it like literally I don't know if maybe that was hyperbole, but I was like, can you think of a better defensive prospect between him and Anthony Davis? Like, I don't think that anybody in between has been coming into college with the same level of just out the gates. I got it.
Well, Cat was that guy, to be honest, because Cat was the defensive monster at Kentucky. And then apparently, I just love we talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite stories. Like, defensive monster, and then they get him to workouts, and they're like,
why has this man not been allowed to shoot the ball?
Yeah, so probably since AD though, because Cat was not better than AD. So it probably since AD. Zion was also a defensive monster, but that's just because jump out Jim.
He jumped from the paint to the 3-point line and blocked a shot in front of everyone and blew our minds, and we were collectively.
So they're both super elite. I think the top two set. I think probably the top three set, but I could see. Listen, if Dylan Harper or Trey Johnson gets absolutely flame throwing at some point, I could see Nolan Traore maybe sliding down a spot or two. But I whatever you have, Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey, I don't think that's moving the entire year. It's one of those two.
I think Kasparis has a chance to go 3. I think that if he puts up like 15, 6, and 5, and on decent shooting splits at Illinois, like, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. It's a great draft class, though. It's going to be a great year to break it all down the entire year, because there is, not like last year, there's so much talent in this draft. Shout out last year.
And here's the crazy thing. Last note from me. I have a lot of upperclassmen in my draft class. I've got a lot of international players in my draft class. I have tape on them. I'm very comfortable working with tape and numbers. There's a lot of kids in high school who look amazing. I really need to see them show me something in college. And I think that's the hard part. Coming into this, I fully expect, like, we were laughing about like a 1.0s in past years. I was like, man, the percentage of guys who fall off. And like, if you look at last year, you look at the year before that, how many guys in the top 30 for like rankings actually make it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is a ugly list.
It was you and Ricky back in the day did it way too early, and somebody was in like was number one, and they were, I don't remember who it was, but they turned out to be awful. I can't remember who it was, but that's how it happened. No, I'm talking about the player. It's like that. That's
the player.
That's what happens, right? You get to the college, and a lot of stuff changes.
Yep.
Like when you see us in like 2 months, a month or two from now with our 2.0. It's probably going to drastically change. So yeah. Yep. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to throw out there before?
No, I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that was only the first one, and that's once we actually get tape on these high school guys in college, that's when everything changes. But yeah, so the draft room will be every other week from us. The other weeks will be the NFL draft room. So tune in if you follow the NFL as well. Our mock drafts will be on the fast break, I believe, this year. I think that's how we're doing it. So that's how that's what I was told. So
I'm gonna nod my head and agree. I'm not 100% positive either.
Okay, that's what I think it is. But anyways, we'll have mock drafts, we'll have big boards. Dave and I will be covering college all year long, international ball, all that with topics through the draft room every other week. The fast break is posted every single week. Our predictions are up. Dave and I will be back on Monday talking about the NBA in the first week. So
reaction time, baby.
Overreactions of week one. Again, down below in the description, check out that Patreon. You can watch all of our recordings for all of our shows live while they're getting recorded, and hop in the chat as well. The Discord is also down below. That is free to join. Hit that subscribe button if you made it this far. Please leave a like. Also hit that bell to get notified every single time that we do post a video, and also leave a comment calling us out. Give us your top 10 of your 1.0. Tell us who your people are. I have Isaiah Evans. He has Kasparis, who he's really high on. Everybody has their people. That's the fun of the draft stuff. Hopefully there's no Sharif Cooper incidents this year where the guy literally is just not good at basketball. But yeah,
he is good at basketball.
For Dave, for me, for the first episode of the Draft Room back. It's good to be back. Thank you for watching, and I hope everybody has a great day.
As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.